Let's make sure it's coming out. There it is. There it is.
But Robert's mic does this thing where it fucking.
Yeah, it does. So there's a happy medium. Scoot this way a little bit. I can scoot this way if you want.
Okay.
There you go.
Like this.
And takes a little bit of getting used to get it to work, right? Gosh dang, now mine's doing it. I don't know. This might not work. I don't know. Come on. Don't do this to me. Okay. Mine's working now. Is yours working now?
I'd have to lean over.
Turn dig it down and out.
Like, right. Like here, maybe. I could hold it, I guess.
I guess. I don't know.
I don't really want to.
Dang it.
Makes it so springy.
I don't know why it's being so difficult. Hey, you guys. Jennifer just got on. Can you hear us?
Fucking with the microphone at the moment.
Yeah. Is it still not working? Yeah, go all the way down like that. There you go. And then like that. Try that. You have to turn it. Yep. Nope, that's not going to work. You got to get it to bend the other way. For some reason, it's... Nope. There you go. Maybe if we move it closer.
Maybe.
Hold on, we got some mic technical difficulties.
I'll sit in the other chair. I could just lean down, I guess. Hello? Oh, good night. Testing. All right. I'll just be.
Don't touch anything.
I'll just be leaning in like this.
Yeah. I don't know. Mine's having trouble too right now. I don't know what the deal is. I got to figure that out. I thought I had it all figured out earlier, but apparently not. So, yeah, Jennifer said more like fondling the mic. Okay.
Well,
Definitely what was going on there. So, let's get this party started. You got it on live? All right. Welcome to Mead Talk.
it's Mead Talk.
Thank y'all so much for joining us tonight. If you haven't been a part of Mead Talk before or seen it before, then you should know that everybody up on stage has consumed at least 3 glasses of mead. That is what we do here. We talk with mead drinking mouths.
Because it's the only way to actually get to the heart of anything.
Yeah, I think that's how we get to the real issues here. And it makes for great conversation regardless. But
Loosens the lips.
Yeah, we believe it dissolves the filters of the mind.
Absolutely.
So people are able to better express themselves and have fun while doing so. It's always challenging and fun up here. Tonight we have an awesome guest that we've had on before, Nathan. And Robert's not with us tonight. He's got some sicklins in the family. So
yeah, I hope they get better.
For sure. We're all hoping for that. So, let's get this party started. If you are in the room right now, there is a mic at the bar. that you can participate with if you would like to. Tonight will be a pretty controversial subject. We are doing a
controversy on one of my episodes.
Yeah,
What?
right. I know, right?
No,
no, not up here, not up here.
Ooh, yeah,
no,
not up
sorry. It's at the bar.
Microphone at the bar.
But
At the bar.
yeah,
It's a
it's
microphone.
up there. It's a wireless mic that we have.
Yeah.
But hey, we can't just join in for any subject, though. We have to be very clear and concise on what we're talking about. So, tonight, yeah. Tonight we're talking about the presidential debate.
And
so,
and you know, considering that this could very well be the last time I appear on the podcast for, you know, circumstances unrelated to it, right?
yeah.
You know, it's pretty interesting because I believe one of the first conversations we've ever had was actually basically a debate.
Bye, y'all. Have a good night.
Y'all have a good one.
Keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the first conversations we had was basically a debate.
Yeah.
You know, the first day I walked in here, you know, we immediately basically started talking about, you know, some of the more deeper stuff that, you know, everyone says you aren't supposed to talk about: finances, religion, and politics. And
That's the important things.
right, you know, but they say you shouldn't talk about it.
I don't understand it.
Me neither, personally, you know.
I think it's important to talk about those things.
I think so too.
I think it's
Absolutely.
important for all of us to talk about finances so that we can better get ahead. If everybody talks about finances and what they're doing financially, we can possibly learn and do better ourselves.
It's an important thing to talk about.
There's a lot of people out there that are doing a lot better than I am, and I would like to know how. You know,
For sure.
So,
Absolutely.
I think it's very important. Religious, I mean, that's extremely important.
If you're not talking about that, you're not actually talking about really anything.
Really, yeah.
You know.
Honestly, that's where a lot of truths and morals and different things stem from in the world.
Right.
That's where a lot of governments stem from in the world. You know, so it's pretty important.
And of course with politics, I mean, that is
The governing bodies
the matters
of
of
you.
the world, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and that's important to talk about too, because
I
you
think
gotta know what they're doing.
For sure, for sure.
And what they were doing was a lot of mumbling and a lot of groaning and a lot of whispering to one another and
the debate.
oh
Yeah.
yeah.
We have some. So I pulled off probably like 15 clips, and just to get an idea. Now you guys won't see the actual clips; you'll get to hear them. But it's pretty cool. It's pretty interesting. And just to hear our current president, and I did quotations on purpose.
Yeah, I don't understand that, but okay.
You don't understand the quotations?
Well, I know I understand why, but like I don't understand why you would do it even up to 2024. Like I feel like that's an old thing now, isn't it? Like the idea that he's not actually the president.
Oh no! The idea that he's actually the one running things.
Oh, that he's actually. Oh, you're
Yeah.
okay. Buying into that kind of thing. I thought you were talking
Yeah.
about a thing like, oh, the election was stolen or whatever.
Yeah. No. I mean, that's pretty obvious, so we don't have to go into that.
You know, your dad actually challenged me last time to look up, you know, the actual like cases of voter fraud. You know, the one source I found was actually that actually listed every last little case was the Heritage Foundation. That's a conservative source. Generally, a lot of people consider it. You know, and guess what? Most of those cases actually for that voter fraud was actually done by people voting for Trump. Most of them, you know, just trying to vote for Trump twice and things like that.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know. Like maybe there was a little bit of voter fraud and a little bit of election fraud, but
Yeah, there was a lot of bit of it. Yeah, there's a lot of bit of it. And but that's a whole nother story. There wasn't actually a lot of talk about that. There was one mention of it in the entire debate that I counted, and that is it. So that's pretty good.
Was there even?
Yes,
of
there
that.
there was one mention, very vague mention of it.
Very vague, yeah. I was going to say, because a lot of the stuff they were saying was pretty vague.
Yes. So here's the first clip I want to go to, and it's a really good one. It's Biden's first gaffe, and I just had to get this in here because it's hilarious.
This one's painful.
It's hilarious. It's pretty
man.
funny. So listen to this real quick, guys.
Situation where they in fact pay 8.2% in taxes. If they just paid 24% or 25%, either one of those numbers, they'd raise $500 billion, I should say, in a 10-year period. We'd be able to wipe out his debt. We'd be able to help make sure that all those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our health care system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden.
We
President
finally
Trump.
beat Medicare.
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare because all of
that was a really funny moment for me watching that. It's really sad, actually.
It was.
Yeah, but it's
It was
funny at the
painful.
same time.
It was painful, man. You know, it's one of those things, you know, where now they're immediately after the debate, basically, they were talking about, like, should he even be running anymore?
Yeah.
And, like, listen, you know, I myself am, as you know, I'm not a liberal. You know, I'm a progressive leftist. I
Yeah.
don't really have any love for Biden necessarily. You know, I don't really think he was that good of a president. I don't think that he was that bad of a president. I think he was mid in every sense of the term, you know. But I will say that man's old. Man is fucking old. However, even with all of that, even with all that stumbling, you know, I think honestly where I'm at is at this point, I'd rather vote for a dead man in a box.
Really?
And for Donald Trump, absolutely.
So where I'm at is I wasn't a Republican. I've never really been a Republican. I'm still not a Republican, but Trump's got me. I mean, he is like every bit of what I want to see
Well, you said
in a
that
president.
you said that you weren't going to vote. in
No.
2020. Are you? Still
Yeah, I'm not.
going to?
I'm not going to vote, but like I am 100% in support of Trump's policies and what he wants to do, because he's not a Republican, right? So and that's what I really like about him.
I think that's the one thing I think we can agree on with him is that he is not a Republican.
Yeah, no, he's an independent for sure.
He may run for the Republican Party, but he is not
Yeah.
a Republican.
No, yeah, I wouldn't tell anybody any different because, yeah, I mean, originally he didn't want to run Republican. He just knew that he would get more support that way.
The first time he ever ran, because like that's the thing, he ran in the mid 2000s. You know, he ran in the early aughts, and you know, he ran as a Democrat then.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I mean, a lot of Democrats used to like him back in the day. Everybody in New York used to like him.
Well, because that was the era of the Clintonite Democrats. You know, the neo-liberal, you know, oligarchy that still exists in the Democratic Party today.
Yeah.
Was set up, you know, basically in the 90s, you know, and through the early 2000s. And then, of course, George Bush got elected as president, and then all that stuff happened. The Democratic Party didn't really see that much change until Obama, you know. And even then, Obama was still much of the same. You know, the Democratic parties remain pretty stagnant. That's one thing. They remain.
Oh, I would say they've gotten progressively worse towards, you know, towards communism side of things. They've gotten pretty wild.
That I will always say, I wish it was actually true. I wish.
That's
you know?
the problem. Because that's
Like-
what every Democrat wishes.
Well, but the thing is that it isn't true right now. Like, they aren't doing it.
Well, they're trying. It's a slow progression. Oh, now, honestly, it's pretty rapid.
If it was something that every Democrat was on board with, if every Democrat was actually a secret socialist,
For the
we
most
wouldn't
part,
we
yeah.
wouldn't have seen resistance to Bernie, running for the.
No, we would,
No,
right?
we wouldn't have.
Yeah.
No,
so,
because Bernie is the only one that's like out and about socialist.
yeah,
He's the only
yeah,
one that's
for sure.
like
Y'all have a
open
good
about
night.
it.
All right, Dan. But yeah, no, I somewhat agree there, but I think that most Democrats are pretty progressive in the socialist aspect, right?
Well, most Democrats are corporatists. Most of them are very much within the
Yes.
hands of capital. They aren't socialist.
Okay, so I would say that they are for whatever the Democrat Party is for. They're very tribal in that aspect.
Well, I mean, you could say the same about the Republicans with that. I mean, most Republican
Sorta.
politicians will just, despite their morals, will just follow suit with whatever is going on.
Politicians, yes. People, no.
Yeah,
I would say that's the difference.
Because there's been a considerable number of Republican voters who have lost interest in, the MAGA movement, since 2020 and, throughout Biden's presidency.
But I would say there's a considerable
lost track with it.
I'd say there's a considerable amount of Democrats that have switched sides for Trump because they realize what they're living in now.
Yeah, and those people, most
Are
of
awesome.
them are youngins, I'll say that, people around my age, who by and large are in it for the culture war. They don't really care about the policy or the politics. They just care about it because they want to trigger the liberals, and they want to, do this or do that. At the end of the day, their heart isn't really in it, for the fascist, regime that Trump wants to enact if he's elected.
Yeah, I don't see any fascism in it. I see freedom in it. The different things that he's proposing, I'm like, man, we are on the right track. Like, those are things that I would put in place if I was president.
I hate to say that you wouldn't have my vote, man.
Yeah, and that's fine. But I would be pushing for your freedom, right? So just like I have for like my entire life.
And that's one thing I think you and I can both agree on as well, is that from either one side, we both agree that, what we're doing is we're fighting for the other person's freedom. We're not fighting for our own. At the end of the day, we care more about if our neighbors can be free. If they can be happy.
It's a direct representation of what my neighbors will be able to achieve is what I can achieve myself, right? So if I'm able to have the freedom that I need to do what I need to do, then I know that my neighbors will also have that same freedom to do what they need to do, right? And so that's
absolutely,
yeah, that's kind of, it's a good representation of I look at, what I'm being oppressed with, with the government and everything, and I'm saying, okay, well, obviously all these other people are being oppressed the same way, which really sucks,
See, I guess I care more about people's freedom to not go hungry, and to have a shelter
me
over
too.
their head.
Yeah,
that's
me
the
too.
kind of thing I care more so about. Less so about, making sure that we can dismantle, administrative agencies, from
well, I believe that is
the
the key.
legislation that they
That's how you
enact
get
or
people
whatever.
to be able to not be hungry, right? That's how you get people to be able to have more freedom to do and choose and do, like, help more people out there.
A lot of people stopped going hungry, after the government actually pitched in and lended a hand, during the Great Depression and even afterwards.
Well, the government caused the Great Depression, so.
Yeah, Herbert Hoover caused it, but.
So
then,
if you just stop causing it, then you don't have to save the day.
well, that's the thing. The next guy who came in stopped it. and save the day. You know, that's the thing. With his policies, he, you know, essentially made it better and pulled the U.S. to the literal top of the economic food chain.
I would say Woodrow Wilson caused it, but that's going back, you know.
Woodrow Wilson and Herbert Hoover both, yeah, I'd say had a hand in it, you know.
Woodrow Wilson.
But I think we can both agree that FDR got us out of it in World War II.
I would sort of agree with that. Not really. I would agree that the Federal Reserve got us out of it because they started World War II, and that is. But they also started the Great Depression. So,
the Federal Reserve started World War II.
Yes. Yeah, there's a lot of intermingling.
You know, actually, that's a good way to put it, because at the end of the day, war is profitable. You know,
it's very profitable.
Capital moves when there's a war going on.
Yep. I mean, there's some corporations that had a hand in funding the Nazi warfare and stuff. There's out of our nation, so there's a lot of different.
Plenty.
Yeah. So. Banks from New York, even oil industries from Texas. There's a lot of different industries that helped fund that whole war. But I would say that the Federal Reserve is the sole reason that we went into World War I and World War II. That's my take on it. There's a lot to that. Let's get to the second clip, though.
Yeah.
So the second clip is on border control. It's Biden. About border control.
The border.
Biden, a record number of migrants have illegally crossed the southern border on your watch, overwhelming border states and overburdening cities such as New York and Chicago, and in some cases causing real safety and security concerns. Given that, why should voters trust you to solve this crisis?
Okay, keep in mind, he just said record numbers. Record numbers means record numbers, right? It means the most, right?
Yeah, I don't know. It's funny to me that you're usually so skeptical of people like NBC and CNN, and yet you trust him when he says, "Oh, these are record numbers."
No, I don't
know. It's one of those things where, yeah, I think he's telling the truth, but like it's funny to me that you believe him here, but not believe him in other instances and other shit that he's talking about.
It's the only place they aired it. So, but this is just in relation to the question. Okay?
Right. Yeah.
Right. Record numbers means record numbers. Now watch how he answers this. This is interesting to me.
Because we worked very hard to get a bipartisan agreement that not only changed all of that, it made sure that we are in a situation where you had no circumstance where they could come across the border with the number of border police there are now. We significantly increased the number of asylum officers. By the way, the Border Patrol endorsed my position. In addition to that, we found ourselves in a situation where when he was president, he was separating babies from their mothers, putting them in cages, making sure the families were separated. That's not the right way to go. What I've done since I've changed the law, what's happened? I've changed it in a way that now you're in a situation where there are 40% fewer people coming across the border illegally. That's better than when he left office. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said
More
at the
Border
end of that
Patrol,
sentence. I don't
more
think he knows
asylum
what he said either. Look.
Yeah, so he said record numbers, and then he said, well, we had 40% less. No, that's not what that means. Record numbers means it was the highest ever. That doesn't mean it was 40% less than the other administration.
Have you ever heard of hyperbole?
No, but we are at record numbers for sure. Like, if you look at, I mean, I'm not going off of what his question is. I'm going off of what the actual statistics are.
Yeah, record numbers, since like the 70s for sure. Absolutely.
Oh, no,
since the last big wave, yeah.
Since any administration ever.
I mean, yeah, at the same time, I don't know. The way I see it is that Biden and Trump both are shit on the border, because at the end of the day, Biden supported a hyper conservative bill, that would have, put so many different restrictions on people crossing the border, as well as
You're talking about the
expanding
one
wall.
he just did like this month?
No, not this. It was like a few months ago at this point.
I remember one where he like restricted it to the number of asylum people.
Yeah, so he restricted the number
That
of
was within the
asylum
last
people
month.
that could come in.
Which
You
is
know.
dumb as hell. Because
Yeah,
it doesn't
exactly.
really do anything.
It does. Well, it just makes it harder on the immigrants. It makes it harder on the border patrol. It makes it harder on the whole system.
And
you
he
know?
lied about border patrol being on his side because he literally almost fought the border patrol.
Well,
Like,
the border. Well, here's the thing. No, he was fighting the Texas. State
but the
troopers
border
and all
patrol
them.
was not okay with it at all.
The border patrol are federal.
Exactly. All right, man. But
The border patrol, they have to listen to the president no matter what. I mean, at the end of the day.
I know,
You
but
know,
they hated it. They hated it up and down. Like you go and ask them.
From what I understand, they didn't really have all that great thing to say about Trump either. That's the thing. Like Trump, his policies on the border have also basically put more strain on the system and has contributed to the suffering of immigrants and Americans alike. It's one of those things where both of them are shit on it. I think.
So the cages that you're talking about.
Yeah, both of them, do it. Obama is the one that started it.
Yeah.
And no, I fully
And
acknowledge
Trump was
that.
just using them to hopefully get the border back.
Yeah, putting people in cages. Either way, not good. No matter what your motives are. I mean, at the end of the day, you're
we put people
operating
in cages
concentration
all
camps.
the time.
It's concentration camps.
Okay,
that's
well,
what that is. Because
I mean,
it's
if
not.
you're
It's
okay
not,
with-
it's not a situation where you're putting them in like a prison.
I mean, if
You're
you're
putting them
if
in
you're
a-
okay
in
with
a-
people not being in prisons, then
Yeah, well, I don't want them to be in prison or a camp.
I would like people that belong in prisons to be in prisons,
An immigrant doesn't necessarily belong in prison. What are you
unless
talking
they're
about?
a bad person,
How do you know they're a bad person?
because they rape and kill and destroy.
What? Every immigrant? Every single
No.
every single one?
But how do you decipher who's good and who's bad?
yeah, you got to actually run them through, the asylum
go.
process. You got to
Yes.
make it easy for them to file for asylum. You got to be willing to accept them, so they don't feel like they have to fucking sneak around and sneak past
So
people.
So how do you do that?
You fucking you institute better border policies
you
that are more congruent towards more immigration,
There you
not
go.
less.
That's what Trump was trying to do.
He
was
he
just a
he
process to get
He
there.
wants more immigration from Mexico into the U.S. That's what you're saying.
No, he wants proper vetted
No.
immigration.
So what I'm saying is that I just want more immigration. Period.
Exactly, that's the problem.
Yeah. No, it's not a problem.
That's a huge problem.
No, immigrants are economically beneficial for our country.
Yeah, when they're good for our country.
Yeah, immigrants by and large are good for our country.
So, but you're throwing out a blanket statement
You do
saying
know
that
that
it's
you do know
okay
that-
for everybody
You do know
to come
that
in.
most immigrants, like, even we're talking like illegal ones, the little bit of data that we have on that, they don't commit crime at nearly the same rate as domestic Americans. Your neighbor, that has been grown up in Alabama all his life, his family's been in Alabama since the fucking, the fucking Pilgrims came over here, right? He has a more likely chance of committing a heinous crime against you than, the possible illegal immigrant that's, just trying to get some kind of job, outside of Lowe's. At the end of the day, these are hardworking people. By and large, these people are not the, rapist, marauding, violent pillagers that, the Republican Party likes to make them out to be. These people are good for our country.
So, you're telling me that improperly vetted people coming into our country at will is okay?
I'm saying that it is, regardless if it's okay or not, economically beneficial. What I'm also saying
It is not
that
economically
we need,
beneficial.
What I'm also saying is that we need to institute a better system of vetting those people.
Yeah.
And that
So
system
that- so
cannot
you're saying
include
that
turning
it's-
people away.
So you're saying that it's not economically beneficial to allow anyone to come in,
No, I am saying that because it just is.
but it's not.
The only people who lose out,
Because obviously it's not, because it's not working now.
No, the only domestic group of Americans that lose out when you have illegal immigrants coming in are basically high school dropouts. They're the only people that are possibly having their jobs taken by these immigrants, you know. And at the end of the day, there's only so many of those people, and there's only so many immigrants coming up, you know, and more people in your country means more money is getting tossed around. More money
That's not
tossing
true.
around means you have a better economy. I mean, that's just basic.
No. What that means is that the government is going to pay for them to live here, and pay for their Medicare, so our bills
They
go
don't
up.
even. They don't even pay.
Yes,
What-
they
what-
do.
what
They
immigrant
load up.
has
They
that?
load. A lot of immigrants right now have that. They have a free stay at a hotel. They have all the benefits they want. They have EBT. They have everything that they need to live here and free of charge, without ever
I've
having
never
a
seen this.
citizenship. No taxes
I've
paid.
I've heard so many people say this, but I've never seen it.
Oh, I've seen it all over the place.
I would-
There's
I would
even
love-
hotels here in Alabama that you can go
I
to
would
that are
love to be
completely
shown.
booked
I would
with
love-
immigrants.
I would love to be shown.
Okay, you can go there.
I would love to be shown. Fucking send me a Google Map link.
I will. I will. Let's go to the next one. So the next one is Biden on veterans. Let me get to this. So 24. I think it's 24.
I don't know why you're showing this one.
He's gotten rid of all the things that I approved, choice that I got through Congress, all of the different things I approved, they abandoned. We had by far the highest, and now it's down in less than half because he's done all these great things that we did.
started a little bit
and I
early.
think he did it just because I approved it, which is crazy. But he has killed so many people at our border by
Thank you,
allowing
President Trump.
all of these people to come in. And
President
it's a
Biden.
very sad day in America.
President Biden, you have the mic.
Every single thing he said is a lie. Every single one. For example, veterans are a hell of a lot better off since I passed the PACT Act. 1 million of
That's
them now
true.
have insurance, and their families have it.
Don't agree with that.
Their families have it because what happened, whether it was Agent Orange or burn pits, they're all being covered now. And his group opposed that. We're also in a situation where we have great respect for veterans. My son spent a year in Iraq, living right next to one of those burn pits, came back with stage 4 glioblastoma. I was recently in France for D-Day, and I spoke all about those heroes that died. I went to the World War I cemetery he refused to go to. He was standing with his 4-star general, and he told me, he said, I don't want to go in there because they're a bunch of losers and suckers.
did
My
say
son
that.
was not a loser,
He did
was
not
not a
say that.
sucker.
He did.
You're the sucker. You're the loser.
That has never been proven.
President Trump.
First of all, that was a made-up quote, suckers and
It
losers.
is a
They made
made-up
it up.
quote.
It was in a third-rate magazine that's
just gonna
failing,
take
like
Trump
many
at
of
his word
these
for that?
magazines.
Well, you're just going to take Biden as the word for that?
No, I'm going on of when I heard him say that the first time.
You heard him say that?
Yeah,
When?
fucking everybody was talking about it when he said that.
Everybody was talking about it.
because the general himself leaked it. It was the general that shared that with the media, being like, "Yeah, he said this," you know. I remember that. Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I believe it because it sounds like something Trump would say.
It doesn't sound like anything Trump would say because veterans greatly respect him
Okay.
by far and large.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you there because veterans are, by and large are indeed more so on his side of things, right? However, I am very confused as to why, in general, the Republican Party seems to be so against, like, veteran care and making sure veterans have health care.
Well,
and
yeah,
housing.
I agree. I don't
know.
understand that either, which is why I never
Because
went.
they voted
Yeah.
against it several times.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, that's why I never went to the VA until 2017, until
Right.
Trump finally got in, because he allowed veterans to go outside of the VA to actually get their care, which was awesome. Like,
But
that
they-
was so cool for me.
But the Republicans in Congress did more to hurt veterans during
Yeah.
Trump's presidency than during Biden's presidency.
Yeah, so
know? I mean,
That's why I like Trump so much, because he goes against them a lot, right? He actually puts in things and tries to get things through.
If that was true, then those Republican senators and House members would have been ousted, because we all know that Trump has a magic way of, getting people out of their office in the Congress.
He's definitely pointed them out for sure.
The only person I've ever seen him do that with was that woman, I forget what state she was from, who didn't stand with the MAGA movement on the narrative around Jan 6, and Mitt Romney for the same thing, basically.
Well, he fired a bunch of people. A lot of people, actually. Which I think he talks about later
state,
in
not
later
in the
in
Congress, because he can't fire people in Congress.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I was talking about Republican Congress, not the administrative state. I know he did that. He gutted it on his way out. That's true.
Yeah, well, I mean, even before one of the first things he did was start firing people.
Yeah, well, I mean,
because they were crap,
and also because he's living up to his character, his persona. Because at the end of the day, he's a reality TV guy.
Well, at the end of the day, he knows what works and what doesn't, and people that don't work, he doesn't want in there doing anything, right? So
people that don't work for him, he doesn't want them in there.
Well, yeah, he's the president, so.
The loyalty should be to the Constitution, not the president.
Of course, and that's what he saw.
No, he was looking for loyalty to Trump, not to the Constitution. He doesn't care about loyalty to the nation. He cares about loyalty to himself.
Because that would be nationalist,
as the
right?
president. Yeah, well,
a nationalist is somebody who's loyal to the country.
Call me a nationalist then, because at the end of the day,
you white nationalist, I can't believe you. You're on Trump's side,
right?
Aren't you?
Right, I know. I guess I'm voting red this year.
Oh,
it's I will always put the country first before any party. That of course, absolutely, and more politicians should do so. Trump, that's his most vital issue, is that he doesn't put other people first. He doesn't put the country first. He only thinks about himself.
And why would you think that?
Based on his actions, based on everything that he has done during his presidency, before his presidency, his entire life's record is a testament to a narcissist.
So I would say that he does exactly the opposite. He's basically a martyr for the Constitution.
A martyr, even though he is the same guy who also said on True Social that they have the right to terminate the Constitution based off of, the election fraud, supposedly.
To terminate the Constitution.
To terminate it. Yeah, that's what he said.
That was his words?
Those were his words on True Social. And, that's the only thing he posts on. He doesn't post on Twitter.
Yeah. Well, he does. He does now.
Oh, he does now?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I know for a long time they let him back on, but he still was like, no, I'm going to post on True Social.
Yeah, he posts a little bit on there, but not much, I don't think. But let's go to the next one. The next one is, I believe, Trump on Afghanistan, Russia, and Israel.
They were both bad on
embarrassing moment in the history of our country, that when Putin watched that and he saw the incompetence, that he should have fired those generals, like I fired the one that you mentioned, and so he's got no love lost, but he should have fired those generals. No general got fired for the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, Afghanistan, where we left billions of dollars of equipment behind. We lost 13 beautiful soldiers, and 38 soldiers were obliterated. And by the way, we left people behind, too. We left American citizens behind. When Putin saw that, he said, you know what? I think we're going to go in and maybe take this was his dream. I talked to him about it, his dream. The difference is he never would have invaded Ukraine, never. Just like Israel would have never been invaded in a million years by Hamas. You know why? Because Iran was broke with me. I wouldn't let anybody do business with them. They ran out of money. They were broke. They had no money for Hamas. They had no money for anything. No money for terror. That's why you had no terror at all during my administration. This place, the whole world is blowing up under him.
President Biden?
So, your thoughts?
So with Iran and all that shit, right? I don't see the reason why, continuing to antagonize what is the most powerful nation in the Middle East, is a good thing, but like at the end of the day, they aren't good people. I don't support the Ayatollah. So like, it's whatever with that.
You don't support Muslims?
I don't support the Ayatollah, nor do I support the Islamist governments. But at the end of the day, I don't really have an issue with Muslims. Muslims or whatever.
What's the difference?
It's the same thing as like the difference between a Christian and a bishop at the Vatican,
So what's the difference?
That's the difference. It's the difference between, a highly institutionalized, highly entrenched in wealth and power, highly radical, extreme, authoritarian version of, a religion.
So I think
the
Muslim
common practitioner.
I think Muslim itself is a highly radical religion.
But I assume you think that of mine too, considering. Mine is probably more radical, right? Because
I didn't know you had a religion.
I'm a pagan, of course I do.
I didn't think that was a religion.
How would it not be?
I don't know. I thought it was like just a thing you did.
Well, I believe it.
Yeah, but it's not like anything set in stone that you believe.
I believe, like, what is set in stone. I believe that there are multiple gods, and I believe that the cosmos has a spiritual structure to it. I believe in some concrete things, of course, absolutely. But with that, besides the point, though, really, fucking what else were they talking about? They were talking about, like,
Russia.
The Russia-Ukraine shit. Yeah, look, you're right. Russia wouldn't have invaded if Trump was president. Mm-hmm. Because if Trump was president, Trump and Putin both would be calling it a legal annexation, a military exercise, whatever. Because at the end of the day, that was always Putin's ambition. Trump said it himself.
That's a knee slapper.
Trump said it himself.
He said it was his ambition, but he wouldn't do it because he knows Trump would stop him. But the fact is that Ukraine would never be a part of NATO because they shouldn't be a part of NATO because that was the original agreement that we all had on a worldly scale. Yes, there was.
There was an agreement.
Yes, the agreement.
There was a guy who verbally said that NATO would not expand past Poland or whatever the fuck he said, right? But
and then we started putting all the military on the border of Russia.
A verbal agreement is not a contract. NATO agreed to no such thing. They will bring in whoever the fuck they want to bring in, and good, because at the end of the day, Russia is an authoritarian, hell state that is hell bent on, enacting old school imperialism on its neighbors. It wants to invade its neighbors and rebuild, not even the Soviet Union. It wants to rebuild the Russian Empire. They want to go back to Tsardom.
And now they're more powerful than ever.
Who says? Their war machine's going to run out eventually.
Is that what you think?
They may have a lot of artillery shells, but at the end of the day, when they run out, they're not going to have anything. They're going to be sending conscripted war slaves out with fucking spears after a while, because at the end of the day, they won't stop. They will fight with sticks if they have to, because they're orcs. But like, they aren't powerful. Russia is a paper tiger. I think the world sees that clearly now. Hell, they're buying ammunition from North Korea to keep their war front going.
That's the problem.
What? Yeah, it shows how weak Russia is.
You just said it right there, though.
It shows how weak Russia is. You're right.
But it shows how strong alliances can be. And who else are they aligned with? Who's the common enemy amongst nations? We're a common enemy amongst what nations?
You talking about like China?
China, North Korea.
I was going to say China, though. they aren't with Russia anymore. They see Russia as a liability. They have let Russia go to the wayside, and they're actually doing their own thing now. You know, China is out over in Africa, in Southeast Asia, enacting their own colonial, game over there.
But they will fortify Russia just to allow us to deplete our resources. They will gladly do that.
So here's the thing. If we're depleting our resources now by giving Ukraine old tanks and, javelins and whatever, Trump, if he was elected, supposedly he would just stop it. He would stop it. How much resources do you think that would take?
To what?
To stop it.
To stop the war?
To stop, yeah. Say Putin is hell-bent on it. Putin, it is his dream, after all. He wants to rebuild the Russian Empire.
I think it would take one phrase from Trump.
What do you think?
I think Trump would say, "You better quit," and he'll stop.
So you don't think...
Because he already has had the conversations with them, and he knows what will come after him.
You don't think that America has already sent that message to Biden? Like, hey, you better stop. A finger wag, basically.
You don't think... Do I think Biden has sent that message? Is that what you're saying?
America. I'm talking about, the government itself, the state.
No. They've egged it on, for sure.
They've egged it on.
Yes, definitely.
They've egged it on.
They've been super soft on the whole idea.
By doing what? How are they soft? By giving... Well, I agree that they're by not giving Ukraine more weapons. They need to give Ukraine more.
Yeah, no, not at all. I don't think they need to give Ukraine anything.
Why not?
I think the
Why should we have a border? Because Biden actually did say this here in the debate. A border with Poland? Between Russia and Poland? That is... you want to talk about a war? Holy shit. Fucking no. Russia cannot be allowed to expand past the Donbass. They should be lucky to keep the Donbass if that's what the peace negotiation turns out to be.
Well, one thing Trump says is before he takes office in January, the war will have ended if he's elected.
I wouldn't be surprised there, considering that every political party around the world, kowtows to Putin and the Kremlin. Every conservative political party around Europe, the Republicans here in America, the conservatives up there in Canada, the conservatives all across South America and Mexico, they all answer to Putin at the end of the day, because Putin harkens himself as some kind of reborn Mussolini, the bastion of greater fascism around the world.
Yeah. And
what you talking? What? And
so
what?
The question around the war is, what do you think is best? What do you think will stop the war?
Honestly, what I think would be best, I think going back to when America actually had some balls on it, and sending the CIA out there and having Putin fall out of a window. That's what I think would be best for that situation.
So that's what Putin knows would happen under a strong administration.
So here's the thing. I don't think that that's true. Because at the end of the day, Trump and Putin, they were like this the entire time. The entire time. Yes,
never have they
Absolutely.
ever been.
Yes.
And that's never been proven.
Absolutely. Of course it has been.
Okay.
He
Show me the proof.
He was
Send me the documents.
He was I've sent you countless documents. I don't even know if you've read the list.
Not on this.
Sent. No, not on this.
On that, yeah, totally.
If I sent you more, would you read them?
Yeah, but I've probably already looked at them, and they're completely false.
Sure, yeah.
They've never.
Yeah.
They were complete and utter made up writings.
Right. Yeah.
Records.
Of course. Yeah. Because
the dossier was never real.
If it doesn't, if it doesn't seem congruent to your view on
it was
reality,
never
course,
real.
It was never real.
No.
Really. The dossier was never real.
No. How could you ever think that it was? It's ridiculous.
Okay. All right, man.
We've got a lot more to get through.
Yeah, man.
30.
Play the next clip.
So this is Trump on NATO nations and Hamas.
Going back to Ukraine for 1 second, we have an ocean separating us. The European nations together have spent $100 billion, or maybe more than that, less than us. Why doesn't he call them and say, you got to put up your money like I did with NATO? I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars. The Secretary General of NATO said Trump did the most incredible job I've ever seen. They wouldn't have any. They were going out of business. We were spending almost 100% of the money was paid by us. He didn't do that.
Biden seeing
He's
ghosts
getting
in the
all.
fucking crowd.
You got to ask these people to put up the money. We're over $100 billion more spent, and it has a bigger
It's
impact on
ridiculous. It
them
was a ridiculous thing
because
to
of
be in.
location, because we have an ocean in between. You got to ask them. As far as Israel and Hamas, Israel's the one that wants to go. He said the only one who wants to keep going is Hamas. Actually, Israel is the one, and you should let him go and let him finish the job. He doesn't want to do it. He's become like a Palestinian. But they don't like him because he's a very bad Palestinian. He's a weak one.
President
bad
Biden, you have a minute.
I don't understand. So was he trying to say, like, oh, Biden, you're a Palestinian, like saying Palestinian like it's an insult?
Yes.
Why?
Well, there's no such thing as a Palestinian civilian, right? So that's not a real deal, right? So there are only different tribes of terrorist groups that live in the occupied area of Palestine, right? And they all have a common enemy, and the only reason they're not killing each other is because they have the common enemy of Israel.
So your view genuinely is that the Palestinians are all of
Mostly
them
pretty much bad, yeah.
marauding, raping.
They're all for
warlike
that,
people. Yeah. Okay. While the Israeli government and the IDF chant about stamping out the seed of Amalek, comparing the Palestinians to Canaanites in the Bible that were genocided in the Old Testament. It's
But they've never done
laughable.
that.
It's laughable to me.
The
every single
amazing
time
thing is that they've never done that, and they've
so
always
that's
tried
so
to
funny.
protect them.
There are TikTok videos of IDF soldiers literally singing about it, singing about dashing women and babies to pieces, like in the Old Testament.
I've never seen it.
Oh my God! And that really goes to show how a rabbit hole can affect, what kind of information you have access to.
I just don't do TikTok, so
I didn't see it
because
on
it's
TikTok.
owned by. You
saw it.
just said they're TikTok videos.
Yeah, but it was a video from TikTok. I didn't see it on TikTok. No.
Okay.
I saw it on Twitter.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I'm all over Twitter.
Right.
I just hadn't seen that. But regardless, they haven't done it, and that's a pretty big point to make.
They have, but okay.
You can say they have, but they haven't for the last 70 years.
They've
been huge proponents.
They've
of
also
peace.
set up.
They have Palestinians that live within the Israel borders, and
they've also set up safe zones to intentionally lure people in and pop them off one by one. Snipers. Positioned at safe zones specifically to target civilians crossing.
Civilians.
Yes, civilians.
Right.
Yes, and how about this? Bombing Red Cross workers. Red Cross workers desperately pleading with the IDF, saying, hey, we are being attacked. We are being bombed. What is going on? Please help us. And the IDF continuing to not respond and simply bomb them more.
And you believe that was IDF?
Of course it was. They admitted to it.
Okay, I mean...
They admitted to it. They said that they did it. They said that they were sorry. They said it was a mistake. But at the end of the day, that's unacceptable. The American military would never stoop so low as to commit such war crimes.
Yeah, are you kidding?
During Vietnam, yeah.
Oh,
not right now.
You obviously don't know America.
I don't know what we. I don't know.
Yeah, we've done some pretty bad stuff, man.
Oh no, trust me, dude.
Stuff.
Trust me. I know.
I've seen a lot of it.
No,
but it's
again,
a part of war.
I don't know about Iraq.
That's
You're right
a part
about
of
that.
That's a part of war, man. Civilians get messed up, but the problem with the Muslim religion is that everybody could possibly be your enemy because everybody fucking hates you.
What I do know about the American military is that they have a lot more discipline than the IDF, and that they have a lot more, control over themselves in civilian engagement than the IDF does.
I don't know about that.
Fucking okay.
I mean, I honestly don't. I mean, I don't know about that because, I guess maybe because it's more of a religious war for them than it was for us, or is for us. But at the same time,
that's the issue, is that it is a religious war, and whether we want to talk about it, from Hamas or from Israel, it's a religious war on both sides. The terrorists that do actually live amongst the Palestinians, yes, they are, radical Islamists, of course. But the IDF and the Israeli government, they themselves, are radical Judaites. Like they are talking about wiping out all of these people, to have more settlers move in, like what they're doing in the West Bank too. And that's the thing. Hamas isn't in the West Bank, so what the fuck? Why are they killing people over there? It's because they want to see the Palestinian people fucking dead and gone.
How do you know Hamas is not there?
Huh?
How do you know Hamas is not there?
Because they don't have active engagements there. The governing body in the West Bank is the Palestinian.
The governing body
Palestinian,
is Hamas.
Fucking, what is it? What's the word for
Hamas? Is just a tribe.
No, what's the word for a country that isn't based in religion? It starts with an S. I'm forgetting it.
I have no idea.
It's the word that basically means that you're secular. That's what it is.
Oh,
the Palestinian Secular Authority are the people that govern the West Bank, not Hamas. Hamas doesn't govern Gaza. They aren't the governors of Gaza.
They were elected.
They weren't elected.
They had an election.
They weren't elected. They were the only option. There's a
bunch of different tribes there.
What tribes are you talking? What tribes? Like fucking. If you mean tribe as in a group of people, sure, okay.
There's a bunch of different sects of Muslim groups there, right? So
as far as I know,
in Iraq,
as far as I know, the Palestinians are all Shiite, like the Saudis are.
Yeah, so and
then
in Iraq we had Shiites and Sunnis, and they were in constant battle with each other, right? And so we were basically there to be a bridge between them and to try and mitigate that issue, right? So you had gangsters like Jamila, the Jamila group that used to take over the markets, and they were basically a bunch of thugs that would go around and take money from people, or they would kill them, right? Take money from businesses and stuff. We stopped that. Different things like that. You have all these different groups that are all there that all hate Israel and that want to see all of them dead, right? Every single one of them wants that to happen. And
even the market people and just the ordinary folks.
Just the ordinary folk. That is their belief that they grow up in. The only people that don't want to see it are probably people that have integrated into Israel, right? And
what about
been more peaceful with Israel?
And what about the Christians and Jews who live elsewhere throughout the Middle East who don't stand with Israel, but regardless are not Muslim? They're Christian and Jews.
I'm not sure what the question is.
I'm talking about the people.
What about them?
Yeah. So why do they hate Israel so much?
I have no idea. I haven't met any of them.
Okay. So the Muslims hate Israel so much because it's some kind of religious fervor, right?
Yeah.
But the Christians and Jews who also hate Israel, they just fucking for what?
I don't know any Christians or Jews that hate Israel.
Okay.
I've heard of a couple of Jews speaking out on it, but they don't really know what they're talking about. But that's about it. I've heard a couple of Jews speak out on it. That's it.
Okay.
I look and I try to find, but I don't find it.
It's so funny how the internet can tailor your experience and leave you in your own little world. It's so hard to
It is.
ford
It's
your
very
way through
interesting,
the forest,
isn't it?
You know? Yeah, man.
Your world is so secluded.
Well, yeah, because at the end of the day, the algorithm directs you to what you are more than likely going to agree with, what you are more likely going to find, to be.
That's why I
the
talk
truth.
to other people that don't
Right.
believe the way that I believe.
Right, talking in person, sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, but I also actually vividly search it. So I try to put myself in other people's shoes, and it just never adds up. But here's Trump on January 6th.
Anybody. I said peacefully and patriotically. And Nancy Pelosi, if you just watched the news from 2 days ago, on tape to her daughter, who's a documentary filmmaker, they say, but she's saying, oh, no, it's my responsibility. I was responsible for this because I offered her 10,000 soldiers or National Guard, and she turned them down. And the mayor in writing, by the way, the mayor in writing turned it down, the mayor of D.C., they turned it down. I offered 10,000 because I could see. I had virtually nothing to do. They asked me to go make a speech. I could see what was happening. Everybody was saying they're going to be there on January 6th. They're going to be there. And I said, you know what? There's a lot of people coming. You could feel it. You could feel it, too, and you could feel it. And I said, they ought to have some National Guard or whatever. And I offered it to her. And she now admits that she turned it down. And it was the same day she was, I don't know, she can't be very happy with her daughter because it made her into a liar. She said, I take full responsibility for January 6th.
President Biden?
That was true. That video was just released a few days ago.
And
last week.
I'll be truthful. I haven't seen Nancy's video, right? However, if that is true and that was somehow not discovered by the Jan 6 committee or was hidden by it, then
It was definitely hidden because they knew.
there-
I've known about this
there are questions.
since 2021. Everybody's known about this for a long time.
that Nancy
That it was
denied
yes. Everybody's
national
known. Yes.
troopers for
Yes, but now they have the actual proof.
National Guard.
Yeah.
So
Not only that, but he denounced and told everybody not to do anything crazy moments before anything ever happened, which was not really much at all, honestly. Let's be honest. Nothing really happened. They were let into the building by Capitol Police.
I did see that.
There was a
and
little bit of craziness.
Needless
but
to say, pig's gonna oink. When it comes to that, but of course there were also cops that were in conflict with this crowd. There were cops that were trampled. There were people that were shot.
just
there
one
were,
person, yeah.
Yeah, and there were, heroic police officers who led people away from congressmen, who were mere rooms away.
They didn't come anywhere near them.
Yeah, mere rooms, mere rooms, dude. It came close.
The Palestinian protesters were a lot closer.
The truth of the matter is that
And they never got
the
any
Jan
news
6
coverage.
The Jan 6 rioters came in with zip ties, with makeshift weapons. They came in
Makeshift weapons.
with intent to harm, with intent to hold hostage. They set up a fucking gallows outside. I mean, at the end of the day, these people, they weren't patriots. They weren't heroes. They weren't trying to protect the country. They were just fucking belly aching because their supreme leader lost the election.
Supreme leader, huh?
Yeah, well, they openly talk about how he's a god emperor. Hell, CPUSA.
Who the fuck does that?
Oh, dude, it's a whole thing, dude. See, the CPUSA, they literally talk about crowning him. They talk about giving him a golden crown on his election
That's
day,
funny.
and making him king.
I don't know who the CPUSA is. Who is that?
Oh, Turning Points.
Turning
CPUS
Point?
Yeah, CPUSA.
They do not,
they're
dude. You're freaking ridiculous.
They're the people that go over to the colleges. you know?
Yeah, they do not say that bullshit.
Yeah, they do.
No, they do not.
Absolutely,
Have you
they
ever
do.
watched anything on Turning Point?
Yeah, I have.
They are all about freedom.
Freedom.
All about freedom.
Yeah, freedom.
Yes.
Yeah, freedom. Yeah.
Now
They're
I know
all
your
about-
ideas are
they're-
completely ridiculous.
They're all about making this country holy again. That's what they want to do.
holy. Yes.
Yeah.
For sure. Definitely.
that.
I'm all for that.
No, I'm not
Yes.
for it.
Okay. Well, you can rape
Because-
and pillage all you want. I'm going to
That's
stop
not.
you.
Can I have,
hold on, man. Come
After a
on.
jury convicted you of 34 felonies
on
last
being a
month, you said if
felon.
reelected, you would, quote, have every right to go after, unquote, your political opponents. You just talked about members of the select committee on January 6th going to jail. Your main political opponent is standing on stage with you tonight. Can you clarify exactly what it means about you feeling you have every right to go after your political opponents?
Well, I said my retribution is going to be success. We're going to make this country successful again, because right now it's a failing nation. My retribution is going to be success. But when he talks about a convicted felon, his son is a convicted felon at a very high level. His son is convicted, going to be convicted probably numerous other times. Should have been convicted before, but his Justice Department let the statute of limitations lapse on the most important things. But he could be a convicted felon as soon as he gets out of office. Joe could be a convicted felon with all of the things that he's done. He's done horrible things. All of the death caused at the border, telling the Ukrainian people that we're going to want $1 billion or you change the prosecutor. Otherwise, you're not getting $1 billion. If I ever said that, that's quid pro quo. That we're not going to do anything. We're not going to give you $1 billion unless you change your prosecutor having to do with the son. This man is a criminal. This man, you're lucky. You're lucky. I did nothing wrong. We'd have a system that was rigged and disgusting. I did nothing wrong.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, you have said.
Just jumping from point to point. Now, hold on.
No, that was pretty clear and concise.
Going back real quick, though, the idea that my resistance to your idea of holiness makes me want to rape and pillage or whatever the fuck you said.
No, you
that-
just allow it.
No, that's disgusting.
Well, then you would want holiness.
No.
Well, then you would allow it.
No, I want people to not be harmed. At the end of the day,
So you want holiness.
No, your standards for holiness will leave people harmed.
Thank y'all so much for coming in. Appreciate you.
Your standards for holiness will leave people harmed. That's
That's
yes,
not true.
Absolutely.
That's actually the complete opposite.
It is true. It is true. I wouldn't be able to live the kind of life that I want to live with my partners if your standard of holiness was enacted for the entire country.
No,
I
the
wouldn't be
whole
able to
reason
live
that you
freely.
can live that way is because of this holiness.
No.
Yes.
If you had it your way, my relationship would be totally illegal.
Illegal? What would the government have to do with that?
They're talking about making America holy again.
Yeah.
That means bringing religion and state together.
Just stopping people from legally intervening, basically, into all religious
Naivety.
acts.
Naivety. They're looking to set up a theocratic state is what they're looking to do.
A theocratic state that
Yes.
was already basically in the Constitution.
Fucking what? The founding fathers were deists, my friend.
Yes.
They didn't buy into Christianity. They didn't buy into that system. They were Enlightenment thinkers.
The entire
they believed in a higher
Constitution
power.
is based off the Ten Commandments.
No, it's not. That's not true. It's based off of Greco-Roman principles.
I don't know where you get your ideas from. It's wild.
From history.
I don't know where you get this from.
That's just basic history of our founding fathers, man. Fucking, dude. You know, George Washington was a Freemason, right? Like this guy was an Enlightenment thinker. He was a deist. He was not a Christian. Later in life, George Washington was a Christian. However, Alexander Hamilton, Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson. He's an interesting guy. He actually has little known oddity is Thomas Jefferson's Bible, right? And it's literally only the proverbs and like wise sayings from Jesus and nothing else. He cut out literally everything else.
Yeah, because
And
nothing
he
else
filled-
matters.
And he filled in the gaps elsewhere. But see, the thing is, other Christians would say that that's heresy. Other Christians,
Why?
Because the Bible is the Word of God. All of the Bible,
Yeah,
all of that
exactly.
Word is
Yeah,
the Word of God. So all of it's
exactly.
important.
No. All of it points to every single part of the frickin' Bible from beginning to end points to the middle, which is Jesus. Are you frickin' high, dude? All of it points to Jesus. From the very beginning, from Moses all the way to Revelation, it all points to the same person.
don't-
Even Buddha, even Hinduism, all of it points to Jesus. Every frickin' religion
What
out there
are
points
you
to
talking
Jesus.
about? My religion
That's a
doesn't-
whole other frickin' story.
My
Your
religion doesn't
religion
point to
comes from
Jesus.
the Bible as well, but that's a whole other frickin' story that we've talked about before. This is
Sorry, I got you upset, man. Golly.
I'm getting a little bit fire up under my but we need to get back on topic, okay?
Sure.
Biden's rebuttals to this.
Ed, I'm coming right to you, sir. You want to respond? Go ahead. I'll give you a minute to respond.
The idea that I did anything wrong relative to what you're talking about is outrageous. It's simply a lie, number one. Number two,
Okay.
the idea that
First of all, everything that Trump says about him, he just goes back and says it's a lie. But a lot of it's been proven. Some of it, well, honestly, I don't know if he said anything that hasn't been proven. But we know that Biden's been taking money from Ukraine, China. We know all of that. We know that Biden's son's laptop was real. It always was, and the DOJ and the FBI covered for him. We all know that. There's so many things that's just outrageous that he should definitely be in jail for. But regardless,
you have a right to seek
lot of
retribution
politicians
against
should be
any
in jail.
American just because your president is wrong. It's simply wrong. No president's ever spoken like that before. No president in our history has spoken like that before. Number three, the crimes that you are still charged with, and think of all the civil penalties you have. How many billions of dollars do you owe in civil penalties for molesting a woman in public, for doing a whole range of things, of having sex with a porn star on the night while your wife was pregnant? I mean, what are you talking about? You have the morals of an alley cat.
Morals of an alley
I didn't have
cat.
sex with a porn
That was a
star,
good little
number
quip
one.
there.
Number two,
think he
that
said
was a
balls of
case
an
that
alley
was
cat.
started and moved. They moved
That's what he said.
a high-ranking official, a DOJ, into the Manhattan DA's office to start that case. That case is going to
Yeah,
which none of that was true, right? So none of that was alleged against Trump was true.
So I find it funny, talk about like, oh, everything Biden says, that everything Trump said about him is just a lie, when Trump, as well as his supporters, by and large, just go with that as well. That like, oh, everything everyone says about Trump is simply a lie. And
Well,
like,
nobody's really seen any proof of it.
nobody. Okay, look, man, playing the game of proof with this, proof with that. At the end of the day, this man's convicted for a lot of the shit that he's done.
Which is going to
You
be
know.
appealed and totally won because it's bullshit.
Really, you think so?
Oh, totally, 100%.
Maybe with the Jan 6 stuff, if that trial
they never
ever comes to pass.
What Jan 6 stuff? What?
Well, his trial for his role in
He didn't
that,
have
in
a
that
role
riot.
in anything that happened there. He was actually in a completely different place, and he gathered most of the people to that place because Nancy Pelosi wouldn't put the National Guard out there. So he tried to detour people from
He
gathering
didn't try
around.
to detour people.
That's
true.
what happened.
No, it's not.
And there was a lot more people at that.
He
than
sat.
there
He
was at
sat
Jan-
in his dining room watching the riot happen.
He was giving a
eating-
speech.
Yeah, he threw ketchup on the wall And then later he filmed a video saying, "Everyone, you got to go home. You got to go home in peace." Like
Later,
yeah, later he felt because he didn't.
I mean, there was timestamps on the videos.
There was timestamps to what was happening that day.
I know exactly.
Yeah, he didn't say shit until
He did.
well after it started.
No.
And all he said beforehand was, fucking come on out here, it's gonna be wild, or whatever the fuck he said on Twitter the day before. And during the speech, fucking I know he said, let's all go walk to the Capitol and give him hell, or whatever the fuck he said, or tell him what's on our mind, or whatever, basically that kind of shit. That's what I saw that day. That's what I saw of what he said. I didn't see him try to detour people away from the Capitol. I didn't see him openly say, people, you need to stop this. You need to stop rioting. You need to stop.
He said all of that.
Looting. You need to vacate the Capitol immediately.
He said all of that.
Later, he said, "Go home in peace. You're all my special little boys."
What?
Yeah, that's what he said. He said you're all very special.
Oh,
you're all so special.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever fucking heard.
You want to look up the clip? You want to look
my
up
God.
his video? You want to look? You're all so special, but you need to go home now. You need to go home in peace. That's what he said, man.
I didn't say you're my special little boys. Jesus
That's
Christ.
hyperbole. You're right. You got me there. You got me on the hyperbole, Matt. Oh man.
All right. So yeah, you took that way out of context.
Sure. Okay.
All right. So this is Trump on inflation.
He caused the inflation, and it's killing black families and Hispanic families and just about everybody. It's killing people. They can't buy groceries anymore. They can't. You look at the cost of food, where it's doubled and tripled and quadrupled. They can't live. They're not living anymore. He caused this inflation. I gave him a country with essentially no inflation. It was perfect. It was so good. All he had to do is leave it alone. He destroyed it with his Green New scam and all this money that's being thrown out the window.
Yep.
He caused inflation. As sure as you're sitting
Green
there,
New Deal never
the
passed.
fact is that his big kill on the black people is the millions of people that he's allowed to come in through the border. They're taking black jobs now, and it could be 18, it could be 19, and even 20 million people. They're taking black jobs, and they're taking Hispanic jobs, and you haven't seen it yet, but you're going to see something that's going to be the worst in our history.
You haven't
Thank
seen
you.
it yet.
President Biden?
But I swear it's coming. I
No,
swear.
it's already here. He's just saying it's getting even worse.
But he said you haven't seen it yet. So is it
you
here or
haven't.
not?
Well, you have to watch that whole thing. But he said you haven't seen the worst of it yet. Is what he was saying there. Before he was stating that. But
I think you're interpreting your God Emperor's doctrine a little bit too much, man. You should just go with what he says verbatim.
I was going with what he actually was saying. I was just trying to pull a quick clip from that. But because Biden was saying how great he was doing for the black families and stuff, which is completely inaccurate. And that's why most black people now are like, no,
this country's never done enough for black families or Hispanic families. It's never done enough.
Okay, yeah. I'd just say do the same for all people, regardless of who they are.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. We we do more for white families than we do for black and brown. It's unfortunate.
I unfortunately disagree with that. I am at a great disadvantage when it comes to being the color of my skin.
Really? You think so?
100%.
Why is that?
I lack the ability to get certain medical programs, certain affirmative action programs, a lot of different things I can't get because of the color of my skin.
Because of the color of your skin?
Yes.
Okay.
They literally ask me the color of my skin. If I'm white, I cannot get them. Literally. Like, I've done this before.
Can't get what specifically?
Certain medical programs.
Certain medical programs.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Actually,
what?
well, a lot of medical care I can't get. For free.
You can't get
right?
medical care. Oh, so
there's a lot of free things that you can get out there. If
are
you're
you
not.
Are you sure it's not about your poverty level?
Oh yeah,
And not
100%.
Your
Oh
skin
yeah,
tone?
100%, dude. I've lived on the streets. Yeah, I'm pretty freaking positive it's not about that for sure.
Really?
Yes, definitely.
You don't live on the streets now, that's for sure.
No, I don't, because I freaking, you know what? I picked myself up off my bootstraps.
By your bootstraps.
By my boot, yeah.
You know the guy who created that saying?
Love that saying.
Originally, he created it because it's making fun of your position. Like, it's an oxymoron. You can't pick yourself up by your bootstraps.
Uh-huh.
It's impossible to do
Exactly.
that. That's why he said it.
Yeah, because it's impossible.
Because because you can't literally pick yourself up by your own bootstrap. You can't do
Exactly.
that and like
Exactly.
use it as like a step. No,
Yeah. It's impossible to do.
That's
That's why people say it, because it's something difficult. It's a crucible.
no. If it's something difficult, then the analogy would be something that's at least possible.
No, something impossible. But only
Something
by the grace of
impossible.
God it happened.
Only by the one of
So-
those. We'll move mountains with Jesus or whatever the hell.
With faith as little as a mustard seed, yes, sir. You better believe it. You ever seen a mustard seed grow into a mustard plant?
Not in lifetime.
That's why you don't believe in Jesus.
Really? Yeah. Wow. Not in lifetime.
Trump, climate crisis, and police.
Malfeasance in the way he handled the pandemic.
Thank you. Another persistent challenge is the climate crisis. 2023 was the hottest year in recorded history, and communities across the country are confronting the devastating effects of extreme heat, intensifying wildfires, stronger hurricanes, and rising sea levels. Former President Trump, you've vowed to end your opponent's climate initiatives, but will you take any action as president to slow the climate crisis?
Well, let me just go back to what he said about the police, how close the police are to him. Almost every police group in the nation from every state is supporting Donald J. Trump. Almost every police group. And what he's done to the black population is horrible, including the fact that for 10 years he called them super predators. We can't, in the 1990s, we can't forget that. Super
He's
predators
like, oh,
was
shit,
his
he
name.
knows about that.
And he called it to him for 10, and they've taken great.
Here's Trump talking about something completely different than the question he was asked. And he's done this several times.
No. He
throughout
gets
the
to
thing.
it. But
Does he?
he was trying to address
after the follow-up question. I remember.
Well, he was trying to address what he said.
Yeah, because he's more focused on that than what the moderator.
Well, it's important. It's important because he just sits there and says a bunch of bullshit.
It doesn't change the fact that he basically just ignored it and
But
just
he
said
does the
that,
same
and then-
thing.
Oh yeah, of course.
So
They're
they go
both-
back and
they're
forth.
Both doddering old fools. I
Which
agree. Yeah.
I think it's important to be able to address what the other person says, right? So like we do it, but we get like really far into stuff and we really need to stop. But we are able to address what everybody or what each other says. We go down rabbit holes, but
Yeah, we don't like lose track of like the question and forget about the question and then don't answer it until they have to ask it again. And
yeah,
then,
they
and
had to
then-
ask it a couple of times.
Yeah, a couple of times.
Well,
That's true.
But I mean, it's it is what it is. This is actually very civil compared to what used to happen back in the day. They used to actually get in like fist fights at debates. So.
Oh well, yeah. Back in the day, we used to be a real country.
Yeah.
Back
do you
in the
think
day,
would
we
win?
used. Oh, between them,
Fist fight, yeah.
Trump easily.
Yeah.
Well, and that's just because.
I think you could blow on Biden, he'd fall over.
And that's just because Trump is heavier at the end of the
Is he?
day. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's got broader shoulders,
they're
but he's not
both-
fat by any means.
They're both slow as ass.
Yeah.
They're both
but
old men. They
He-
don't have much muscle mass to speak of. Like
Yeah,
they're like either way, it's gonna be like a fight in the bingo hall. But I think eventually Trump would wear Biden
they are
out.
yeah, they are very both of them are very old. I cannot deny that. And I wish we had some younger blood in there.
I think it should be illegal for people Trump's age or older to run.
And I think that's something Trump actually would totally put in if he was in. Here's
think
why.
so?
Yeah, because he doesn't want to be president. Like, he does not want to be in this position, but he feels it necessary to save the country. And
That's what he said.
Yeah, and I'm like, I agree, like, because I don't think he ever wanted to run. I know he thought about it for many, many years.
You just take his word for everything, don't you?
No, I look at outside sources.
Yeah.
To confirm.
So
I'm telling you right now, I'm not a Republican, but I 100% support Trump.
So if he
I didn't even support Trump
if he didn't think the country
up until like maybe 3 months ago, I was not on board with him.
If he didn't I know that's wrong because we've talked.
Yeah, and I never supported him. Yeah. I just defended the bullshit about him, right? Because because it was bullshit.
No,
and that was obvious.
If he thought that everything in the country was going fine, you think that he wouldn't be running right now?
Yes.
So why do you think he ran in the past then?
Because he didn't think everything was going fine.
Really? Trump is just this selfless guy who just cares so much.
He's done so much for a lot of people, man.
Just cares. Yeah, the guy who doesn't pay his contractors done so much for so many people. Whatever, dude.
Apparently, you're missing all of the personal stories that people have with Trump.
All of the personal stories about Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe so. I have heard, his rape allegations.
Yeah. Which are just allegations.
I've seen, his pictures and his and other people as well talking about his friendship with Epstein. I know he was real personable with that guy.
These are just show trials, right? So that's what communism does: is they put out a bunch of show trials to show political opponents what they will do if they try to go against them, and that's what Trump basically is for them: is a bunch of show trials.
Yeah,
you know about the show trials, right?
Like what? And like
what Stalin did, yeah.
Yeah. But I also know that none of that's communism. So like
okay.
You're like so wait, the whatever like $500 million he owes right now, that's all for show?
What's that?
The like $500 million in like legal fees he owes now is like that's all for show?
Yes, exactly. It's all bullshit.
So he doesn't owe that money, is what you're saying. That's just like a non-thing.
I'm saying that he only owes the money because it's a show trial, but he'll get it back. It's just going to be all caught up in legal bullshit for now. Name one time where he's actually like. I mean, he's been convicted as a felon, but is it actually going to stay?
Yeah, I mean he's a slippery little weasel. I won't
slippery.
Deny that.
No, it's
he's
bullshit.
gotten out of a lot of shit. You're right.
Did you follow the trial?
However, he's been convicted. So that one, I know the one stuck. I believe that was for the Stormy Daniels shit, whatever.
Yeah, which he was never involved in.
Regardless, it's stuck. He's convicted. He's a felon with a record.
Which will go away.
In Florida, he wouldn't be allowed to vote.
Which will go away. It'll be appealed and it'll go away. I mean, he has.
Don't know about that.
Well, okay, so if it goes to Supreme Court, it'll be gone because it's bullshit.
Because the Supreme Court is a conservative court.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, man.
You conspiracy theorist. All right, let's move on to the next
Justice one. Thomas openly taking bribes.
Conspiracies over here.
Openly taking bribes.
Biden climate accord.
It's so funny.
We have a lot to get through.
Real quick.
Okay.
Just about the conspiracy theorist thing. Calling me a conspiracy theorist and all of that when that's actually an example of a conspiracy theory that's actually true.
Okay.
That's real. It's one of the only ones. And conspiracy theorists by and large don't believe it.
Oh, Jesus.
I don't understand why like the one that's like objectively true, they just don't believe in.
Oh my gosh.
It's insane to me.
There's so many things that are objectively
it's like,
true that you don't believe in.
The lizard men, of course, they're controlling the government. But no. The Supreme Court, they couldn't be conservatively
the
biased.
reptilians is what you're referring to.
Oh yeah, the reptilians.
You got to get it. Don't say lizard, man.
You
You sound ignorant.
You know when people say reptilians, they do secretly mean Jews, right?
No, that's weird. That's another conspiracy.
That's what they mean. A lot of conspiracy theories stem from anti-Semitism. But
Okay,
play
so
the clip.
Biden on the climate accord.
Yeah.
He is claiming to have done something that had the cleanest water. The cleanest water? He hadn't done a damn thing for the environment. He pulled out of the Paris Climate Accord. I immediately joined it because if we reach 1.5 degrees Celsius at any one point, there's no way back. The only existential threat to humanity is climate change, and he didn't do a damn thing about it. He must undo all that I've done.
Hey, everybody.
Nobody
There
cares
is a
about
big
you, Obama.
fundraising deadline coming
Gotta
up.
donate.
Go
Gotta
away.
donate to Obama.
Jesus Christ.
We're live.
Nobody cares about Obama. But I don't think we're going to get through all the points. We've already gone an hour and a half.
Yeah, I mean, it was a long debate. we've gone as long as the debate did, like in total runtime. It was an hour and a half.
I know. I'm going to do Biden's Social Security, and I'm going to go to the bathroom
Sure, yeah.
while it plays. Oh, Jesus.
I'll watch it by myself, do a little reaction.
Oh, jeez. Where is it? Okay, so this is basically it right here.
President Trump, you've vowed to end your opponent's
It's right
climate
after this.
initiatives, but will you take any action as president to slow the climate crisis?
Well, let me just go back to what he said about the police, how close the police are to him. Almost every police group in the nation from every state is supporting Donald J. Trump. Almost every police group. And what he's done to the black population is horrible, including the fact that for 10 years he called them super predators. We can't, in the 1990s, we can't forget that. Super predators was his name, and he called it to them for 10, and they've taken great offense at it, and now they see it happening. But when they see what I did for criminal justice reform and for the historically black colleges and universities, where I funded them and got them all funded, and the opportunity zones with Tim, as you know, Tim Scott was incredible. He did a great job, great senator from South Carolina. He came to me with the idea, and it was a great idea. It's one of the most successful economic development acts ever in the country, opportunity zones. And the biggest beneficiary are blacks. And that's why we have the best numbers with them in maybe ever. They're saying ever. I read this morning where ever, the best numbers. He's lost much of the black population because he's done a horrible job for black people. He's also done a horrible job for Hispanics. But wait till you see these millions of people pouring into our country, and they're going to take the
We
jobs.
lost our spot.
And it's already
Tell me what
started,
happened.
And you haven't seen
He
anything
said it
yet.
was going
It's
to
a
be after
disaster.
this clip. So
38 seconds left. President Trump, will you take any action as president to slow the climate crisis?
Okay.
So I want absolutely immaculate clean water, and I want absolutely clean air, and we had it.
What are you gonna do
We
about
had
it?
H2O. We had the best numbers ever.
So, yeah. So that was not correct on that timestamp. So we're going to go to Trump wasting time on the debate. He's talking about how it's a waste of time.
Yeah, I remember that clip.
Pollution and about climate, I've not seen any indication of that. And by the way, with regard to prescription drugs, one company agreed that they would reduce the price to $35, which I was calling for, one, voluntarily. I made sure every company in the world, every pharmaceutical company, cannot have to pay.
Thank you.
And by the way,
So every day, millions of Americans struggle just to make ends meet. For many older Americans, Social Security provides a critical lifeline. President Biden, if nothing is done to Social Security, seniors will see their benefits cut in just over 10 years. Will you name tonight one specific step that you're willing to take to keep Social Security solvent?
yes, make the very wealthy begin to pay their fair share. Right now, everybody making
good
under
idea.
$170,000 pays 6%.
Let's talk about that. It is a good idea.
I agree.
I believe everybody should pay their fair share.
Yeah, 100%.
10% across the board.
So how is that fair?
I think that's 100% fair. Because
So-
10% is 10%. It doesn't mean that you pay more, I pay more, or somebody else pays more. It means that
10%
everybody pays the same.
10% is
Is a lot.
is a lot more for someone making minimum wage.
No, it's not. It's the same.
Than it is for someone making, $1 million a year, whatever.
No,
right?
it's the same.
Absolutely no.
If you make $7 an hour, it's 7 cents an hour.
That 7 cents goes much farther for that person that's poorer than it does for the rich person. Because at the end of the day, shit continues to get more expensive.
Yeah,
you can't just institute a flat tax rate without
you would get more back
without instituting something to address inflation. Because at the end, you gotta be able to address inflation if you want to have a flat tax rate.
So you know what inflation
Otherwise, is? I know you have your whatevers about.
No, there's
inflation.
no whatevers. What is inflation?
Fucking, I'm not an economist.
Okay,
I don't
why
know.
would you say that if you don't know what inflation is?
All I know is that that's the thing that everyone points to and says, "Man, that's why my eggs are more expensive now."
Okay. So
yeah,
inflation is the devalue of money, right?
Sure, yeah.
So why is it devalued?
Because you're printing more money.
Because
That's
you're
what I
printing
understand
more money.
it is. Yeah.
When you print more money, you put more money in circulation, which devalues $1 as opposed to how much is there, right? It's a ratio.
So my question, hold on, because
that's the only
thing
that is inflation.
I really think that economics is akin to magic, honestly.
Yeah.
If that's really the case, why don't we just say that inflation isn't real? Why don't we just say that, oh, no, the dollar isn't worth less anymore, actually. It's worth the same. We just have more dollars around. Like, fucking, why does the value need to lower? Like, I don't understand that personally.
Well, because when it was backed by gold, it actually represented something. So you would have it actually represent a certain amount of a precious metal or an asset or something, right? So now I think most of it's backed by treasury.
It's fiat, so it's backed by itself.
Well,
really.
Sort of. They're backed by treasury notes, basically, and so it's backed by something, but now it's backed by something that is really nothing, honestly.
It's inception
and that was the whole Federal Reserve's plan from the beginning, was to basically make our country go in debt and indebted to the Federal Reserve.
Regardless of who's responsible, if you want a flat tax rate, you need to address that inflation.
Oh yeah, totally. I agree.
Because
I agree. Look, I agree that Trump spent way too much, but I agree that Biden spent way too much as well.
Every politician spends too much.
Oh yeah. Well, and here's the problem. 1913 allowed for the federal government to take the right of the people to vote against what they spent money on, right? So there used to be a veto system for the people.
See, and that's actually something I've talked about several times, just kind of interpersonally. America likes to, we like to say, like, oh, we modeled our government a lot off of, like, Rome, right? However, the one, like, thing that we are missing from, like, the Roman government was the tribune, which was essentially the way citizens vetoed their government.
Well, it's nothing like the Roman government.
Well, I agree with that, but like, but it's what us Americans like to say, though, right? Is that
I've never heard that.
We modeled it off of this. You know, it's the reason why all the buildings in Washington look the way they do. I mean, but yeah, we're missing that element of a citizen counter to what the government does.
Well, it used to be there.
The Tribune had that power to veto.
It used to be
what
there.
The Senate did.
Well, it used to be there. So it used to allocate like what our taxes would go to, what we paid taxes for, right? And the people would have a say when the government wanted to use the funds for anything. the people would have a say whether or not, and it would be a majority vote that went towards or against it. And that was before 1913.
Yeah.
Then when the Federal Reserve Act was signed, the government could go to the Federal Reserve and get money to do whatever they wanted and not go to the people. So they were able to bypass that.
If we're talking about like returning to a greater era, like in that way, sure. I
Make
like
America
that.
great again.
See, that's the thing though, is that
That's what it means.
there were a lot of things that were happening in America at the time that made it very much not great.
But that's
especially
not what
compared
it's
to
talking
today.
about. That's what MAGA is about. It is about making America great again for economics for all people, not just economically, equality for all people, equality of opportunity, not of outcome, right? Because not everybody gets the same outcome based on the same opportunity, right? So I'm not, incredibly. I mean, I'm sort of athletic, but I'm no superstar as compared to somebody else who has the same opportunity that can do way better than me in any sport or athletic event. And that's just, we've all been dealt the same cards, and they just worked harder for that particular thing, right? So,
A meritocracy, that idea is so childish, but honestly, getting into why that is a whole tangent and a half.
childish, eh?
Huh?
Childish, eh?
Oh, yeah. The idea that we live in a meritocracy.
You can use Monday.com
absolutely.
to boost your team's efficiency. And I'm going to show you how.
Childish
in 40
malarkey.
seconds.
Go
We
back
got to
to
get
work,
through this.
and we should encourage businesses to have.
Thank you, President
childcare
Biden.
facilities.
President
Hold
Trump.
on.
Moment in the history
Love
of
how
our
they just
country.
interrupted him.
He didn't fire. Did you fire anybody? Did you fire anybody that's on the border that's allowed us to have the worst border in the history of the world? Did anybody get fired for allowing 18 million people, many from prisons, many from
They have emptied
mental
out their
institutions?
prisons
Did you fire
and sent them
anybody that
here.
allowed our
That's a
country
big
to be
issue.
destroyed? Joe, our country is being destroyed as you and I sit up here and waste a lot of time on this debate. This shouldn't be a debate. He is the worst president. He just said about me because I said it. But look.
See, the things that Trump is saying are things that I already know, but I'd never heard him say, and I'm like, oh wow, I didn't know he knew about that kind of stuff, which is it's really interesting.
So, do you also buy into the idea that
Buy into or
they're sending these people out here specifically to change voting outcomes and
Send what
replace
people?
populations? Do you think that that's what's happening too?
are you talking about how they're telling people to vote for Biden when they come in, like the illegal immigrants, and they're like actually feeding them marketing material and stuff? Are you talking about that?
So you do believe in that?
No, I've seen the marketing material.
Okay.
I'm just wondering, what are you talking about?
So what I'm talking about is the white replacement conspiracy theory.
White replacement.
Yeah.
That's weird.
That it's been a thing for a long time, but nowadays it's kind of had a resurgence in the alt-right especially, but in the conservative movement just as a whole in recent days. The idea that we are specifically moving populations of people into certain areas so that they can change the voting outcomes of those areas.
Well, yeah, that's pretty obvious.
It's really weird and also
It's weird that how you say it.
simplistic, because at the end of the day, the world is so much more complex than just that.
Yeah.
Obviously, voting demographics are going to change as immigrants move into certain areas. That's
well,
true.
it's not. So
But
I think you've underestimated it.
The idea that there's an evil cabal of Democrats that are orchestrating this to have it happen on purpose, that is like
It's not an evil cabal of Democrats. It's an evil cabal of one world governments that has clearly been stated on the
yet
world
another
stage.
anti-Semitic.
You can
conspiracy
go
theory.
to it and watch it. They clearly state their motives and what they want to do. It's all there, man. You can watch them tell you what they want. George Soros, all those people,
Watch
they clearly tell you what they're doing.
Soros is mentioning Soros again, another
Yes.
anti-Semitic conspiracy theory.
Anti-Semitic.
Yes, all of this shit comes from Nazi thinking. I mean,
Well, tell the fucking Nazis, not me.
trust me. Everyone's been telling them, but unfortunately, you're buying into some of this stuff. And I don't like that, man. I want to see
Buying
you
into
escape
what?
it. Buying into all of these Nazi
These are things I've known
conspiracy
about
theories.
for years, man. I've been knowing about this for 13 freaking years that I've been looking at this.
And it's
14
unfortunate
years.
that you've been so
Since
deep
I've been
in
brewing
this.
mead.
Since you've been so deep in it, it is unfortunate.
So deep into it, I have no idea.
Into the rabbit hole, man. The whole fucking it's like the rabbit from Alice in Wonderland.
You really don't see it.
Don't see
You're really that oblivious. You haven't watched them tell you what they want to do. You haven't looked at Agenda 2030 or Agenda 21. You haven't looked at any. I had to study it in college. Did you not go to college and study it?
I went to community college.
Okay, so I was in my I'm 13 credits away from my master's degree, and I had to study this shit.
Yeah, no,
they clearly told me what it was.
I just got my associates. I didn't even go for a bachelor's.
Well, I had they made me study this stuff, and I quit because of it.
What the 2030? What the
the
Project
2030 agenda and the 20 or the Agenda 21. They made me study it.
Well, you like World Economic Forum shit. You talking about that? Yeah, they're talking about like how to how to make the world better for
they're talking about
owners.
making everybody outside of super cities slaves and keeping all the people that obey them inside.
Because they're neoliberals and they want to set up
crazy.
They want to set up a capitalist oligarchy world.
Yes,
where the people at the top reign supreme.
Those are the same people that are running this country right now.
Right. But it's not like a fucking conspiracy. These are just...
That's what I said.
This is the will of capital. This is not the will of Soros. This is the will of the dollar, not the will of the reptilians. Fucking...
But who... What do you... I don't care about reptilian bullcrap or what. What I'm saying... And look, I've gone down the Anunnaki trail and all that bullcrap. I don't believe in all that, right?
What?
Anyways, it's where the reptilians come from. Let's go. Let's go into Trump and Biden health assessment.
Thank you, President Biden.
Fentanyl and the byproducts of fentanyl went down for a while.
This
and
is
I wanted
not
to make
coming
sure
out.
we use
I think
the things that we had done, hard negotiations with Mexico, and I got
the timestamps changed.
800,000 manufacturing jobs, more investment in America, and everybody trusts
that's a
us.
conspiracy
all of our
too.
allies. And our,
No,
and
the
our
timestamps
and our-
definitely changed
those
because
who
I
we
got
called
off
us up
when that commercial
Kim
hit.
Jong-un, we sent
It all got
letters
off.
to him, Putin, etc. They don't want to screw around.
Maybe
with
it's
us.
Google
Well,
trying
anyway,
to
that's what you're,
trying to
just take a look at
ruin
what
us.
he says he is. and
Talking
take a
about
look at what he
this.
is. Look, I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him.
Oh, here it is.
I have wood that I'm in very good health. I just won 2 club championships, not even senior, 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart, and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way, and I do it.
Great
he doesn't do
replacement
it. He can't
theory.
hit a ball 50 yards. He challenged me to a golf match. He can't hit a ball 50 yards.
There's some people in chat that know about
I
it.
think I'm
Yeah,
in very good
yeah, I've
shape.
heard
I
about
feel that I'm as in good a shape as I was
Yeah, it's
25,
super
30
weird.
years ago. Actually, I'm probably a little bit lighter.
Tucker Carlson's
but
a
I'm
good
in as good a shape as I was
proponent of that. He
years ago. I
buys
feel
into
very
that
good. I feel the
heavily.
same. But I was willing to take a cognitive test. And you know what? If I didn't do well, I aced
Same
it.
with Nick Fuentes.
Dr. Ronnie Jackson, who's
all those people
that
too.
is.
great guy. When he was White House staff,
America
and then I
First.
took
You're
another
not
one, a
pro
similar
America
one.
First.
And
Well,
both-
yeah, I think
one
America
of them
First
said
is
they've never
pretty-
seen
You
anybody
think America
ace him.
First?
Thank you.
Are you a
President Biden?
VoIPer?
You can see.
I have no idea what that means.
No? Okay. See, this is a good example of a classical conspiracy theorist, someone who isn't as terminally online as the Gen Z, neo-QAnon conspiracy theorist type that's on the forums and all that, rare breed, might even be akin to the much rarer 9/11 truther nowadays. You don't really see them much anymore.
Oh, God.
Listen, I gotta bust your balls a little bit, man. I got to.
It's well, I mean, just the whole 9/11 thing, man. It's crazy.
Oh no. did I fucking open up another can of worms?
Well, I mean, it's
Who did it, man? Who did 9/11? Tell us.
That's a great question. I would like to know.
You'd like to, so you don't think it was?
I don't believe it was a bunch of untrained dudes.
You don't
and
think it
some
was a
airplanes
bunch of
that
Saudi
could
terrorists?
not possibly maneuver a commercial plane that precise. No,
Really?
not at all.
Well, I don't think that they. I think that they were trained. Yeah, for sure.
By whom?
By the terrorist organization that they
Where?
worked for. Weren't they Al Qaeda that did that?
In Florida.
In Florida. Okay. Yeah. See, that's what I was waiting for. It was like, oh no, America did it. But like, come on, man. Like, it's like the one example of like an actual terrorist attack on the U.S. soil. You know, I feel like it would be more in your interest to use it to bank harder and harder on opposition to Islam or whatever, right? Because I mean, at the end of the day, they were Islamic terrorists that did it, right?
I don't believe Islamic terrorists did that. No. I believe they were like all for claiming that they did, but I don't believe that they could ever possibly do that.
Talking about conspiracy theories, you ever heard of the dancing Israelite conspiracy theory?
I've never heard of that.
Well, it was an idea from a supposed like eyewitness account of a bunch of Israeli visitors that were over here in the U.S. cheering as they saw the towers coming down, and that apparently Israel were the ones that were secretly responsible for 9/11.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's one of those.
I mean,
deeper in
you
the
know,
bed
they've
ones,
done
you know?
some pretty horrible things in history, like deny God. So
Wow.
that was pretty bad on their part. I mean, they're the whole reason we're in this
Yeah.
mess. So
In which mess?
the mess that we're in right now,
What?
the fall of man.
What you mean the Jews are?
Yeah.
So you are anti-Semitic.
Anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
No, not
That's
at
an
all.
anti-Semitic belief.
Jews know it.
It,
Jews will tell you
it was
that.
it was the Roman government, the fucking government of Judea, the Roman province that put Jesus on a cross. It was not the Jews. You know, it was
the
not
Roman
the Jewish
government
people.
fought to not put him on the cross.
The
but
Roman
eventually had
government
to.
did not fight for that.
Yes, they did. They let him go several times.
Yeah, because
it's in the records.
Because his charges couldn't stick.
Because he didn't
But at the
have
end-
any charges.
Right,
Just like
because-
Trump doesn't have any
Right,
charges
because at the
that'll
end of-
stick.
because the Romans were because the Romans are pro-religious freedom. But at the end of the day, when Jesus' cult started questioning the imperial cult
You hear that?
of Rome, when Jesus' cult started questioning the idea of worshiping Julius Caesar as a god, that's when the Roman government said, "Fuck this! We can't have you preaching anymore. You gotta, you gotta go on this stick now."
Mike, just so you know, I saw the explosions on every floor. You can't deny it. Just so you know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, you talk to the engineers that built the building, and, you look
Jet fuel can't melt steel beams, right?
Yeah, you have to have something else. But you see all of the, there's a lot to it, but just from an engineering perspective, you look at it and you say, okay, I see what's going on here. I see where this building or this beam is being cut with, I forget the name of the fuel.
And
What was it? It's something that you ignite and it cuts through steel, but
just,
it weakens the structure.
and just making sure again, you're not voting this upcoming election.
No,
right?
definitely not.
Thank the gods for that.
Why?
Because I don't honestly. Someone
Because
with your views, I don't want you to have a say in my government.
There's plenty of countries out there that you would love to go live in. I don't know why you're still here. It's easier to go live in those
because I love
countries
America.
but why? You don't want America.
The whole
You want something
hold
from
on.
somewhere else.
That is such a bizarre.
No, it's
thing
a
for
true
me.
statement.
No, that's no.
You do not want America.
Hold on.
You
let
don't.
Let me finish what I'm saying.
Go.
it's such a bizarre thing to me.
Thermite, that's what it was. Thank you.
Because at the end of the day, America was a country that was founded on protest, on counter movements, on counterculture. You know, my side might not be the most populist side. They might not be the ruling side, but at the end of the day, we're a part of American history all the same. You know, I love this country, and I want to see this country change for the better. That's why I talk about the things that I talk about. That's why I think the way that I do. That's why I vote the way that I vote.
I want to see this country go back to being better.
I want this
like
country to be better than it ever was. I want this country to be better than it ever could have been.
So we have to start somewhere, right? And I would like.
Why not start with moving forward? Why do we have to go back? Let's just move forward.
Well, going back means dissolving most of the government, right? I would like to see most of the government dissolved. All of about maybe one agency, two agencies.
Yeah, but what will that solve?
Everything. That will solve every freaking problem we have. Are you serious?
Well, would just no
government.
No
yes.
governmental services at all.
Yes, that would solve pretty much every issue.
Yeah, you know,
because I believe we are stronger as people than being weak-minded and allowing the government to take care of us.
I don't like sawdust in my cookies.
It doesn't matter.
I don't like rat droppings in my pasta. You know,
you would rather have all the chemicals and bullshit that they ban in other countries. That's what you would rather have because the FDA allows it.
No.
You don't even get served bread here. Bread here is not real bread. Do you know they make a different recipe to send to other countries? If they have manufacturing here, like say Kellogg's, they have manufacturing of different types of cereal that they send to other countries because other countries have banned the chemicals.
Me being pro basic regulation doesn't mean that I'm pro adding all kinds of harmful chemicals to our food. That's not what I said.
You're pro all the regulations of a corrupt government.
I'm not pro all regulations. I'm pro common sense regulation.
Well, none of them are common sense because the government is overreaching.
Making sure that there's only a fucking, tenth of the amount of like cockroach parts in your food as there once used to be before the FDA. I honestly think that's a pretty good common sense.
How far
regulation.
Are you going back?
Huh?
What do you mean? You're talking about still shipping across the world?
What?
You're talking about?
I'm not talking. I'm talking about the FDA. I'm talking about the regulations that the FDA had, set upon when it first came about. So
I'm talking about localizing food, right? Localizing everything, because that's what our entire government was built off, was local economies. America was built off local economies. It was about the people in local areas, in communities, working together to create something. Yeah, it might have been traded then amongst communities, but it was never, hey, we're going to get all of our food from Mexico. Hey, we're going to get all our food from foreign countries.
And then industry came along.
And that's the problem.
And it's not going away.
Yeah, so utilize it for good.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Utilize it for good.
That's what I studied. That's what I have a certificate to do.
You're not
is sustainability.
Going back, removing all the regulation, and removing all of the technological process that we've had.
No, regulation has nothing to do with technological process.
That's not going to help you with that.
Yes.
All that's going to do is bring us back to a situation where we had fucking rat droppings and sawdust in all of our food.
No.
The Gilded Age was a thing. Study it. The people in those times, they lived in fucking squalor because the corporations that were lording over them didn't have any regulations over their heads at all.
What time period was this?
The Gilded Age.
What time period?
The entirety of like the Industrial Revolution. That's like the mid 1700s to the early 1900s.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Like ever since trains became a thing, this started to happen.
Yeah, I agree. That's not good.
But we're not going back to no trains. We're not going back.
That's where I'm going back to.
See, that's Ann Prim shit, and that's probably the one ideology that'll single-handedly cause the most death if it ever actually gets enacted as like policy.
What?
The ideology of returning to
the land.
not just the land, returning to a world without the technological advances that we have created.
No, I believe the technological advances could be even better than what they are. They're just not given to us. I believe they're hidden from the population at most. Because I was in the military. I've seen some things that, didn't get released to the public for many years.
Of course, the government has technology 50 years ahead of us, minimum.
Yeah.
Minimum. But that's not what I'm talking about, though. What I'm talking about is...
Well, I mean, let's talk about cars that run off of water then.
Right.
Totally a thing, but the government stopped it.
So
Why?
was it the government that stopped it?
Yes.
I don't think it was.
Yes, because they have their interest in oil.
So ignoring the fact that a lot of the government is worked over by failed sons of oil barons, family members of oil barons. A lot of these people answer directly to ExxonMobil and Shell.
Yep.
Ignoring that fact, I really do think that the oil companies, the corporations are much more guilty when it comes to the fact that we don't have water-powered cars right now. Because if they didn't have their interest in making money off of oil, then we would have already had it. If they didn't see that there was a penny to be made by drilling through the earth, then they wouldn't have stopped it. They would have let it ride, because at the end of the day, that is just efficient to run a car off of water. It's just efficient.
Extremely.
But they don't do it because the oil corporations, these plutocrats, basically, they lord over their corporations and hoard their wealth, and they lobby the government to make sure that there is nothing done that will in any way hamper the auto market or the gasoline market. They want to make sure that we are stuck in our cars. They want to make sure that our gas-powered vehicles is the only option we have for freedom.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? And that's not the government doing that. That's,
definitely.
That's Exxon. That's Shell. That's British Petroleum.
Exxon, Shell, pharmaceutical companies,
and it's also
all tied in with
Saudi
the government.
Arabia, because Saudi Arabia is a huge part of the oil economy.
All tied in with the government.
Yeah, the government's in bed with it, sure, but
FDA,
but are they the
Monsanto.
ones? Are they the ones that are perpetuating it, or is it
they're allowing it to happen for sure?
Okay, so what is it called when a government prevents a corporation from doing something that's harmful for consumers? Is it called regulation? Whoa.
That's amazing.
Regulation ain't bad, man.
I think it is.
Okay.
So the only reason they're allowed to do that is because of the regulations. So you have to go back to the start of it.
Versus before the regulations, when they did it anyway because they could.
No.
And because it was cheaper.
No.
Yes.
People
started monopolies on purpose because that was economically beneficial for them. It's all about how they line their pockets. They aren't concerned with their customer base or the people that are working for them or anything like that. They ain't concerned about that. They just want to make sure that they're making more money than their competitor. And that's all they care about. So if there are no regulations in place, that means if it's cheaper to put lead in your fucking Chips Ahoy cookies because the lead makes it taste sweet, then they're going to put fucking lead in the cookies. That's the way it's worked all throughout history up until regulations became a thing.
Here's the deal. Chips Ahoy would not exist if it wasn't for the government. End of story.
Really?
Yeah.
What the fuck was that?
That was your laugh. I was just
Yeah.
repeating it.
Yeah.
It's kind of a mocking.
Right.
But-
You think that's a good way to like convince someone of your argument?
No, you're already convinced. I don't have to.
I'm already convinced. Wow.
Yeah. Well, you were just laughing at me, so I was just laughing back. So Chips Ahoy wouldn't exist because the government, if they didn't subsidize everything so that they could exist, they wouldn't have what they needed to actually make the product. The government subsidizes all of the things
you do
that
know
Chips
that
Ahoy is
Chips
made
Ahoy isn't a standalone company, and that they're owned by Nabisco,
Yeah.
a company that's been around since, I believe, the 1800s.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
they existed long before the regulations that were set in place,
Yeah.
and the other thing he said.
And those people had a lot less diseases than we did, huh?
Did they?
Yeah,
Did they really?
for sure.
Yeah, dying of tuberculosis, of gout. You know that's why they put iodine in the salt, right? Like why you see like iodized salt. It's because iodine is what prevents gout, and that's what's kept Americans safe from gout.
Interesting. Because I don't take any of that.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's
I hope you don't get
completely
gout, man.
horrible for you.
I really.
I
hope
never
you don't
will get gout. I guarantee it.
So how do you
I'll
know?
never get cancer. I'll never get any of those diseases.
How do you know your salt doesn't already have it in there? That's what I'm.
Well,
Do you look at
pretty positive.
Do you look at the ingredients for your salt? Make sure that it's only 100% salt.
Yep.
Good.
It's not 100% salt.
Oh, what is it?
No, it's got 89 trace minerals.
89 trace minerals.
Yep. And, varying from, 90 something to 89 trace minerals, depending on what part of the world I get it from. But yeah. I'm a very avid salt collector.
Yeah.
I'm serious, yeah. At one point, I had a jar that had probably contained 100 different types of salts. And it's all different colors, the rainbow and everything. And you mix it up and stuff, it almost becomes like a gray-black. And you use that, and it's like the best culinary salt you can ever get. You get lava rock salt in it. You get green salts, blue salts, red salts, pink Himalayan salt. Gosh dang, that was a tongue twister. But yeah, all the different salts, you get all the different minerals. Extremely good for you. That's where electrolytes are come
I
from.
wouldn't be surprised if at least like one of those salts had iodine added.
Yeah,
in.
probably from the sea.
Yeah.
Not added. Not a synthetic form of it or anything. Yeah.
Synthetic or not, I mean, iodine is something that you need at the end of the day. Like, if it's added in or if it comes from the sea, either way, it has it.
Yeah,
that's important to not getting gout.
Well, potassium iodide is like 300 times more effective than actual iodine, right? Like iodine is converted into potassium iodide, which you can naturally get. But
what are we talking about?
we're talking. We went totally off the subject.
That's yeah.
Regardless, the debate was a
shit show.
It was.
It was a shit show.
It was. It was pretty bad. Honestly, Trump at least spoke clearly. He didn't have any rambles or weird things.
He talked more clearly.
Oh, yeah.
And he spoke a little bit quicker. That doesn't mean that the things that he said weren't chock full of lies, and it doesn't mean that the things that he said were in any way coherent.
That's yeah. I think that I understood everything he said perfectly. I understood.
Oh, I understood the words he was saying,
but I understood the ideas
point
that
he was
trying to express.
No, I didn't understand.
100%. I did not understand Biden's 100%. There are some okay, I could understand his phrases.
You're able to understand what Pawpaw's saying as long as he isn't 82.
I have no idea what you're saying. What?
You're saying you're able to understand Trump's old man rambling is because
Well, he
he's
didn't
not
actually ramble.
because he's not as old and rambly and senile as Biden is, due to the fact that one is, I believe, like 75 or
No,
whatever, and the
no.
other is 80 something.
No, he's 78.
78.
But yeah, I mean, no, or 77. But he I'm just based off what they said in the actual thing. That's where I get those numbers from. But no, I don't. I just, he's old. I'm not gonna lie, he's old, but he just spoke clearly. Had plenty of
Speaking clearly and making sense,
and plenty
like
of
the
great
same thing.
ideas. You know, great policies that he was expressing. Some of his speeches that I've gotten to listen to lately.
You know, he used ChatGPT for one of his speeches recently.
That's pretty cool. He's trying to be hip.
He's trying to be hip.
I've used ChatGPT too.
Why?
To understand how it works.
Oh, just like you fucked around with it?
No, I've used it to express marketing ideas, you know, just to see what it can do, honestly. Just like a bunch of different things, getting different ideas for all sorts of stuff. Like if I was to input my book that I've written, right, it would be able to lay it out a little bit better for me, a little bit more organized probably, which would be really nice. Even though I could do that, it's just I don't have time.
If I were you, I would find the time, because I would never, ever allow a piece of art that I was producing to be tainted by
by a liberal ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By a fucking AI. No. Fucking no.
All right, well,
What's chat been saying? Assume they've been buck wild.
he's just talking about pharmaceuticals.
Pharmaceuticals.
And iodine, how it prevents neurological disorders,
Yep, it does.
all that stuff. Yeah, I'm not negating the facts of iodine. It's really great. I don't believe in putting it in salt. I think that's a horrible idea. They put them in sodium chloride.
Well, it's in like a lot of things now, so like it's a redundancy for sure.
Yeah, it's in all processed foods, right? So
Yeah.
it's not in stuff that I eat. So I'm not
Yeah,
going to
well, you
allow
gotta eat
them.
it somehow.
I'm not going to allow them to put radioactive iodine into my food. That's ridiculous.
Radioactive
Yeah, dude.
iodine
You think? Yes,
can
you
be
have-
radioactive.
Yes, that's how you get issues with your thyroid. You have radioactive iodine. It
Radioactive. So
Yes.
so
yes, exactly.
is iodine more comparable to thorium, or is it more comparable to like uranium? Or is it more like neptunium almost, where like it's like super unstable? Or like franctium, where it's also like super
I
unstable.
sense sarcasm in your voice. No, it can have unstable. I'm trying to think of the words, but it can cause a lot of damage, and the only way to get rid of it is to replace it with better iodine. Gosh dang, I don't remember. We've gone way too far though. I need to get out of here.
It has been a pleasure being up here, man.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I triggered you there for that one little bit.
It's okay.
You
I'm
know.
always triggered. Stay triggered, my friend.
Stay triggered.
That's what I say.
You gotta stay triggered. And you also gotta stay drinking mead.
Right?
It's the nectar of the gods. It's the only thing to drink.
For sure. Thanks so much for coming out for Mead Talk. It's been fun. It's been crazy. We've been getting down. We're going to do another one of these for the next debate, for sure. And then I think we're going to do one for an election party. I think we have a government official coming out
Oh shit!
for the election party, so we're going to do one of these for that, which will be a lot of fun.
That will be fun,
So Trump himself will be here. No, I'm just kidding.
right? Yeah.
That'd be awesome. But that would be, But anyways,
This very well could be the last time I'm on.
maybe. I don't think
Maybe.
so.
It depends on
You're
when
not
I'm
moving away yet, right?
Well, so because of everything that's
Yeah.
happened, I did decide I am going to go ahead and move
Okay.
sooner.
Okay.
So
Well, let us know, man. We'll
possibly by August.
Okay. Well, we'll get you on before then.
All right.
Get you on
then.
before then.
You
All
should
right.
you should see me again.
All right. All right. And hopefully eventually we'll get the ability to like put a phone, because we have a phone connection right there.
Ooh.
So we can have call-ins.
Get
and
callers?
stuff. We'll have to get you on a call-in.
Yeah. Like
All right, y'all. It's been good, everybody. Yes, keep calm, drink mead, as the sign says right up here. Thanks so much.
it's better advice than what the Queen gave. Keep calm and steady on. No, keep calm.
It's much better advice.